And you're tuning into the Radio of Horror Show on 91.3 FM WCUW, as well as on vidme.com and youtube.com, where you can find this episode if you did not catch it live on the air on Sunday night. And tonight on the show with me is world-renowned occult paranormal expert Katie Montana Jordan. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Katie.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Occult specialist, paranormal researcher, independent consultant to Para-W. What are some of the organizations you're with? Because I'm kind of reading them off Twitter, so I'm probably not saying them right.
No worries. Yes, I work as an independent consultant for 3 main organizations, and the one that you're talking about is Paranormal Research and Investigations, and that's based out of Silverdale, Washington State, because I'm in Portland, Oregon. And then the second team is San Diego Paranormal Research Society, based out of San Diego, California, as well as my international team is Scottish Ghost Adventures, based out of Fife, Scotland.
Where did you get started all this? How did you start delving into the paranormal activity stuff? Were you haunted by spirits when you were a little girl? Did they come to you? Red rum.
I started having experiences at a very young age, and it seemed like something opened up for me. The more experiences I had, it brought about more experiences, different kinds of experiences. And then the more I grew and the more I matured and the more I grew interested in the intellectual part of it, I started to read more about it and research about it, and it eventually turned into my career path.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I do believe in ghosts.
I do not believe in ghosts.
I think my definition of a ghosto is probably a little bit different than the mainstream definition. I am also a freelance writer, so as a writer, as a linguist, I'm really big on using and not using certain terminology. With that said, words mean different things to different people. So a ghost typically has a negative, very entertaining connotation to it, whereas the word spirit has more of a spiritual or religious connotation to it. And typically, I think people are talking about one and the same thing, but from a scientific point of view, I tend to use the word energy. So when I'm talking about a ghost or an energy or a spirit or a psyche or an essence, it's all one and the same.
So let me ask you this. You're saying that the word ghost has some negative connotations to it. Do they like to be called paranormal Americans? Is that what you're saying?
I'll ask. I'll let you know. I'll get back with you on that.
You don't have a Ouija board right there? You could just start like scrying at me like, spirits of the nether region.
That's a good question. I actually do.
I'm totally picking fun of Katie, and she's going to send
boards, and I have 2 of them right here.
I'm totally making fun of Katie, and she's going to send really bad shadow people after me soon to kill me.
Yeah, you don't want to piss me off.
No. Okay, so here's my only connection to anything to do with the paranormal. I don't believe in ghosts because I've never seen one, so I've never experienced it as far as I'm aware. So I can't believe in it. You know what I mean? And that's no slight against anybody.
I completely understand. Yeah,
and it's
I don't take any offense to that at all.
It's definitely never any slight to anyone who does that sort of thing. We did have a ghost expert on my show back in 2008 when we first started, and I played the Ghostbuster theme song, and like afterwards he told me he thought that was really insulting, and I was like, okay. Yeah. I thought it was all in good fun, but I guess not. I mean, the news plays the Ghostbuster music when they have like a paranormal investigator on, like the intro. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like they're playing clips of what they're doing.
And that's just the thing of it. And that's what we were talking about before we started recording here. We were talking about certain mainstream misconceptions. Certain things mean certain things to different people. And the whole point with I'm not to speak for the gentleman that you were just talking about, but from my professional perspective, I could understand why that would be insulting, only because it brings about a certain image and a certain mainframe with that song and with that movie. And everybody loves the original movie Ghostbusters. Don't get me started on the second one. Oh my God, I just finally watched it. And I the remake. Just wasted 2 hours of my life, and now I'm really upset about it.
Or the remake, Katie. What? Are you saying you're a woman who doesn't like the remake? What?
Yeah, talk about something that's insulting. So I have two good things to say about the remake of Ghostbusters.
You
The
could find
first one
two
is that
things?
the cameos were rad. I didn't hear that they were all going to be doing a cameo. I thought the cameos were super hilarious. I loved those, and I loved that they made a point to do a little cameo, all three of them. And then the second good thing I have to say about that movie is, damn, that hearse is fine. I want that hearse.
The biggest insulting thing I thought about the movie was, and this is not going to go into a tangent about Ghostbusters, people, this is the last thing, was the first 10 minutes, the giant bukkake joke.
Oh, I don't even remember that, but I'm sure I was insulted.
That was when Kristen Wiig was talking to the ghost, and she throws up all into her face and mouth and hair.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't happen. Yeah, that's not real.
No, that's the bukkake joke. Because she says, I got it in every crevice. It was in every crack. Okay, it was all over my hair, in my mouth.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm like, just thinking of, like,
Yeah, no, that's never happened. All the investigations that I've ever been on, that's never happened.
So when I was saying that I don't believe in the supernatural, the paranormal, kind of slightly misleading, mainly because of the fact that there's this documentary currently on Netflix about shadow people. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of this thing? Because I apparently suffer from it.
Oh, and what do you mean that they're saying that this is a medical condition?
Well, do you know the documentary I'm referring to?
Probably not. Is it a new one?
Yeah, it's basically about like people who think. Now, I haven't watched it yet, but I only watched like the trailer about it like 2 years ago, and then I was waiting for the documentary to come out, and someone said, "Oh, it's on Netflix." I'm like, "Oh, I got to watch that because I think I suffer from this." Every once in a while, I think I see something out of the corner of my eye, and it's no longer there, or I'm driving down the road and I see like a shadowy figure, and when I stop and turn around, not like completely turn around in my car, but like look, in the rearview mirror, it's gone. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it happens like every once in a while. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, it's there.
I know exactly what you mean.
And then someone said
what do you think it is, though?
That I'm seeing either A, I'm seeing things. B, I'm tired. C, mm-hmm. I think the documentary explains the way the documentary explains it, and the way that I have talked to people about this, they said I am perceiving into an alternate dimension that I'm not aware of, and it's only for a split second, and that's why I don't see it anymore after it's gone. These are not malevolently bad spirits, or even spirits. It's just something that my mind can't comprehend, or again, I'm really tired and I'm just seeing things.
Yeah, no, I think all of that makes sense, and any of that is possible. And that's the thing of it, is where working as a paranormal researcher and as an occult specialist, that just means I have my background specifically in occultism. So anything that's going to be occult related, which is typically things that people consider to be a little bit more dark or a little bit more taboo, but they certainly are not either of those things. With shadow people, it's not... I think it's not so much a generalized theme. I think that most people experience paranormal and parapsychological encounters without their knowledge or without their complete understanding. So people might experience something that is unexplained and they just, brush it off, or they don't take a second to be present within the moment and absorb it and honor it. Or they get scared and they just choose not to believe that it is something possibly paranormal, which of course isn't going to be negative by any means. But I think the notion of shadow people means something different to everybody. But I haven't watched that documentary yet, and I'll certainly check it out. But when you were talking about it, if this documentary is generalizing all of these people having very similar experiences with shadow people, it's going to be the same with medical doctors putting a scientific name or a medical name, a medical condition on another very paranormal commonality that a lot of people are having. And one of my very closest best friends in the whole world is somebody who deals with this all the time, and that is that medical condition of sleep paralysis. So that's something that certain doctors or certain scientists would put a name on somebody that feels that they are being encountered by something supernatural, something paranormal, something unexplained during the night. And then of course you've got people on the other side of the spectrum that say it's going to be, a ghost or something malevolent or something spiritual. So the thing with that, it's a crapshoot. It's all self-interpretive. So I think it's important to, what I'm saying is not generalize, because everybody comes from a different background. Everybody is going to be looking at something through a different lens. So I think it's important to stop and experience things and allow yourself to honor the fact that you were being placed in this time, in this moment, to experience something. And I know that the natural reaction is to be fearful of something, if it's something that surprised you, if it's something that is new for you. And that's why I think it's important to step out of the moment for a minute and take a look at things from the spirit of the perspective. So very often people come to me and they're like, oh, I saw a shadow figure, or oh, I saw something move in my house. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And if we stop and talk about it and break it down and dissect it moment to moment, then the client will hopefully realize that it's not something scary. It's not something to be fearful of.
These TV series that deal with like the things that you do you believe that they're just there for like a rating bonanza, or do you think they actually know what they're talking about when they're like running around in black and white shaky handy cams?
That is an excellent question. I think my opinion is that all of the paranormal shows on TV, all of the movies that have to do with something paranormal or supernaturally related are most definitely inaccurate, and they are definitely insulting to those of us that actually are actively working in the field.
Oh, wow.
And not to say that, because I know a lot of the people that are on the shows, and I'm friends with a lot of those people, so certainly not to personally attack them, but from a professional paranormal researcher's point of view, that's something that we always have to struggle with. People are comparing us and our work to what they see on TV. And it makes sense. It's not anything to get that upset about, because, the general public doesn't have any other resource, right? So that's why it's important that we have a more open dialogue about things like this, exactly what you and I are doing right now. So hopefully I can, offer a better insight or offer better solutions to, some people that might be listening right now, as opposed to them thinking that they understand something based off of a TV show that they watch. Because, yeah, TV is TV, movie is movies. They are creating entertainment to get better ratings, and that means that they are embellishing truth, and I would probably say 99% of the things that you see on there are not factual.
Yeah, like they do these like the ghost hunters go to this place where like these people died, and like they're showing these clips of them like, what was that? What was that noise? Oh my god, what was that? And of course then South Park does it, a complete parody of them being like, what was that? What was that? What's happening in your pants? I'm peeing.
Yeah, that's funny.
South Park did the best parody of them.
True. It's like, yeah, because you're literally, it's like 3:00 in the morning and you're tired, and you've been investigating for 6 hours, and you're cold and it's dark, but you keep going because, you think you're hearing something, or you think you're picking something up on a piece of equipment. So that part is true. So you are sitting in a room and you're like, what is that? I thought I heard that. What is that? We'll go out there, go try this. We'll go knock on that, go do this. Well, we need to reposition this piece of equipment. So yeah, that part is a little true. That's the fun part.
There was, have you ever seen the movie Saturday Morning Massacre?
No.
Oh my god, it is the best realistic version of Scooby-Doo I have ever seen. It's about these 4 kids and their dog. They are trying to investigate, supernatural spooky shit, and they just keep finding like drug deals and like gun running. And the last one they find is like a child pornography ring.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and then they finally get, like, a hot tip to go investigate this, like, abandoned factory or something. I forget what they're in. And, like, the shaggy guy, he accidentally, like throws the LSD into the cooler with all their, like, food and water, so they all eat it. The Velma character, who's the only one interested in like the local sheriff or whatever, like Velma usually is like the only one doing any type of real. She's the only one of the group actually doing any type of real investigation to try and find the proof of paranormal activity or something. You know what I mean? She's the only one taking it seriously. The Shaggy guy is in his van smoking, like eating in his munchies and smoking his weed with Scooby, and the Fred and Daphne character are fucking like crazy. You know what I mean?
So funny.
Yeah, and then of course they find out there is something at this abandoned place, that this legend of this family that lived there. It's like this incestuous, cannibalistic family.
Oh my God, that sounds terrible. I don't want to watch that.
But it's actually really good. It's like really like it's a straight up like they go and investigate something that they're trying to investigate, but it actually turns out to be this like serial killer family living there.
And that's like the worst case scenario. I haven't come across that yet, like getting a call from a potential client thinking they have something paranormal going on, but it's really, like people being killed.
Yeah, or like
that seems a bit far-fetched, although I do want to say that the one little piece of accuracy that I'm hearing from this is that it is true that most of the calls and most of the inquiries that we get are in fact not paranormal at all. So it is smart that they're debunking and using their resources to prove that something is not paranormal before they can prove that it is.
There is going back to the for anyone listening and who's a fan of my podcast, Supernatural Creatures and Lore, Katie is going to be coming on the show for the upcoming next few episodes in April for Supernatural Creatures and Lore, and possibly many more. And there's an episode of the TV series Supernatural where Sam and Dean go and investigate what they think to be a ghost haunting, and they lay down the salt and stuff like that to stop the spirit from passing over, and the spirit they finally are able to catch the spirit, and the spirit like crawls out of the cupboards and passes over the salt, and it's a girl living in the walls. She's a squatter, and they like at the end of the episode they find out like she's been living in this like tunnel underneath the house, and they find like all this like all these like pictures of like this family that she once had, and like they're these old toys and stuff like that, and she's been living there since she was like 5 years old. She's like 15 or 16 now.
Aww.
Yeah, so it's like, wow, that could actually happen.
I've never seen that happen.
Or that could possibly never happen, according to Katie.
Yeah, I'm like, how can I sugarcoat this so I don't completely offend all of our listeners right now?
What is the weirdest thing that people have heard of that you found out to be true about something paranormal-ish or like you deal in the occult as well. What does that word mean, and how far does it stretch out into like different territories?
Oh, no, that's a great question. The word occultism is taken from the Latin term occultus, which is directly translated into hidden or secret knowledge. Occultism is essentially the umbrella term for the study of all things supernatural, mystical, or magical. So basically, what I do as an occult specialist, that means that I specialize in all things occult related as a paranormal researcher, and working with PRI, my affiliate organization out of Washington State. We are a parapsychological experimentation organization, so that means that we actually write up parapsychological experiments, and we conduct them, and then we apply the results. We apply what we learn to actual investigations, and then the classes that we teach or the lectures that we give. So we are always constantly learning for ourselves, personally and professionally, before we put out our information out into our public and the people that follow us. So occultism is actually found in pretty much every major religion, every major faith, and every culture in every corner of the world. There is going to be some notion of occultism in every academic area. So occultism is not only relevant, but it's present. It was present in our past, and it's present today, and it's going to continue to be present.
When people think of the occult, what are some negative connotations that you try to sway them away from it being umbrellaed with, if that's the word I'm looking for? Umbrella? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Like obviously, like aliens have nothing to do with the occult, right?
Yes and no. The study of ufology is going to be under the umbrella term for cryptozoology, which is also within the paranormal field. So it's all kind of the same, but ufology and cryptozoology and the study of Bigfoot falls under cryptozoology as well. So
Yep.
it's all paranormal and it's all parapsychological, but it's just a subtopic of those two academias. But with occultism, like I said, occultism is considered to be, by some, a study that is, dark or taboo or naughty, and it's certainly not any of those things. So my biggest struggle that I have in dealing with potential clientele, or when I'm holding public engagements like at our events, talking about occultism as a whole or explaining exactly what it is to people that might not know, the big wall that I run into is a big wall that I think the general public puts up for themselves, and that is looking at occultism through a religious specified lens. So that means looking at something and applying your religious connotation to it, looking at a situation and applying your personal background and your personal preference to it, and that means addressing your opinion to it. And of course, that's not wrong. Everybody's allowed to feel and think however they want, but if you're looking at something from a sheer scientific or a sheer academic point of view, you cannot look at it from a religious specified lens, and that is the same with occultism. It doesn't matter what I may or may not believe personally. What only matters is how I can apply what I know to help a potential client within a possible paranormal situation.
That's one thing I do believe in, is that, and I honestly, I say this very sternly, that I think you would have to be very arrogant to believe that you, human being, man or woman, doesn't matter, are the only living creature in the galaxy. Because that is small-mindedness to think that the galaxy is so big, it goes so far out. We just barely gotten past Alpha Centauri, which is the closest star system to us. And that telescope was launched like 30 years ago or so. So we have a long ways to go. I mean, there are great science fiction movies out there that show, like The Martian being a big example, of like how long it takes for us to travel in space to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that the amount of time it takes just for a probe to get even anywhere, it's nowhere in our lifetime that we will be making contact with any intelligent alien species. Now, all these like reports that the Greys and I've been abducted, an anal probe, blah 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 blah. I've probably listened to way too much Neil deGrasse Tyson to believe any of that to be true. And let's face it, Neil deGrasse Tyson is kind of like the you in his field,
Oh, you mean he's like super smart and super awesome, and he goes on people's podcasts and he's like, "You're wrong. That's not true."
Well, no, but if you ever do yourself a favor later on tonight, you'll have a good laugh. If you've seen The Martian, go to the YouTube channel CinemaSins, and he's on the CinemaSins episode talking about the Martian with them. It's so funny.
Okay, I will.
Because he points out all of the, because The Martian, as factual as it was, because it was written by a guy who used to work for NASA, it's still some made-up science fiction here and there that they had to embellish.
That's funny. And that's the thing of it. I'm glad that we're talking about this right now, because I wanted to make this distinction that we were just talking about ufology and the possibility of the existence of ETs. And then we got into talking about science fiction. And I want to make the distinction that, in my opinion, that those are two different things.
Of course.
Yes, we have science fiction. We've got all of these movies and all of this amazing literature that, again, has shaped our image or our mainframe in our mind for what we think aliens or spacecrafts witchcrafts or any of that might look like. And I think that that's fine. But now that we have more scientific findings, and now that we have better advanced technology, and we are becoming more spiritually evolved as people, that we are, I think, starting to look away from things being more religious based, that we can make that distinction between things that are science fiction and things that are actually scientific.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I want to jump right into something that I think we mentioned before we started recording about you coming up to Salem to do something, and you're connected to the Salem witch trials. Have you ever seen, or sorry, not seen, because God, I would love it to be made into a movie, but have you ever read the book, The Diary of Deliverance Day?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, it's so good. I loved it so much that at when Borders was going out of business, they had a bunch of their copies for in the clearance area, and I bought up a bunch of them to hand them out to people because I love the author. She came on the show. She's based out of Salem, and it's a story about this woman who is forced by her mother to go to her grandmother's house to clean out her old house in Salem because she's like, well, you got nothing better to do, and you're out of college. Why don't you go up there and clean it out, or whatever, and keep whatever you want? I just don't have the time. So she goes up there, and she meets the local handyman. They start a relationship, but she finds this diary connected to this lost Salem witch. And there are supernatural forces around her who want the diary from her. And and I honestly thought it was one of the best stories of the Salem witch trials, fiction-wise, that I'd ever read. Cool. I highly recommend it. It's really smartly written. I think the woman's extremely talented. I had a lot of fun having her on the show. Again, I hope I have the name correctly. The Diary of Deliverance Day.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look it up. No, thank you for that tip. Yeah, I'll totally look it up. And that's the thing of it. With all of my research, there's so much for me to still uncover. So many things that I still want to read. So I'll add that to my list.
Did you see the movie The Witch?
I sure did. Yeah.
Did you have any great opinion about it? Did you not like it?
I
think for somebody like me who doesn't know anything about that sort of thing, I thought that movie was great.
Yeah. I waited to see it until quite a while, so I probably shouldn't have done that, because by the time I made time to sit down and watch it, several months had passed and everybody was like, oh my God, it was so good, it was so good, it was so this, it was so this. So I was all vamped up to watch it, right? So when I finally sat down to watch it, I was like, what? Mm-hmm. And then it was over. I was like, huh? So that's literally that was my impression of the movie. What? So I think that from a historical perspective, that the movie was very well done. That as far as I understand the language that they used and the costumes and what everything looked like and the way life was during that time era, that seems pretty historically accurate. And I really appreciate that. I think that needs to be honored. The rest of it, I'm not real sure that I'm okay with how the movie ended. Mm-hmm. I've only seen the movie once. I would like to sit down and watch it a second time. It's like when you read a book for a second or a third time, you learn something different from it. So I actually did like the movie. I think the more I thought about it, I liked it better than I thought I did when I initially watched it, but I was kind of taken aback by how it ended. The closing scene seemed very contradictory, and it seemed more like it was being exploited for entertainment purposes. And again, I know it's a movie. They need to keep the audience happy. They need their ratings, but from a professional perspective, I would say that movie was almost a little insulting as well.
So you probably feel the same way about Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem too, huh?
I haven't seen that.
Oh my God, Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem. He filmed the outside scenes in Salem for 17 days. He was down here in Salem, Massachusetts, because he's a Massachusetts native himself. And then the rest was shot on sound stages. They definitely portray the witches as the cackling, we're gonna eat young babies and virgins and stuff like that, and corrupt and worship Satan and blah 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 blah. He's portraying them as the Hollywood villain type of witches, but the gothic horror, just weird psychological trip that he puts his wife through. in this movie because she's a DJ who gets a record, and when the record's played, it starts playing this like hypnotic music or whatever, and it just starts like awakening like all these weird memories inside her, and the audience finds out like her neighbors are like descended from the original Salem witch, and there's this old hag witch being seen throughout the movie, played by Meg Foster, Meg Foster, who I've met, and it's like the sweetest woman. And it's just torturing her the entire movie, and like the book that came out like in conjunction with the movie is based on his original script, and he does stuff in this book that he just could not film. Like they sacrifice a baby, and it's like in the book most descriptive, horrifying thing that if it happened to an adult it would be bad, but to a baby it's like 1,000 times worse.
Oh my gosh!
Like,
yeah,
it's like no. I've gone on the show. I mean, when the book came out, I read like the chapters like on the air, and I had people calling up, going, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, it's this great book by Rob Zombie."
Oh my god! Yeah, no. that sounds like that's super fun for, again, entertainment purposes. And I'm realizing you're probably not going to want to have me back on the show because I haven't seen any of these movies that you're talking about. And I'm like, nope.
Let's get the next time we have you on the show will be about supernatural. We'll be talking about stuff in the real life that you deal with, as we like real life, I say with quotations, because because you know when you say like the Hook Man, have you ever encountered anything to do with like the Hook Man legend?
Nope.
No. Okay. You've never met Bigfoot?
Nope.
And you don't know Nessie? You're not good friends with Nessie, right?
Nope.
Okay. But that's what I mean when I try to describe people's supernatural creatures and lore. I'm like, the show is fiction. Okay, Sam and Dean are running around in their Chevy Impala, hunting demons and werewolves and monsters and stuff like that. And in real life, it's kind of fiction too. By the way, people are like, oh, well, but that's not all true. I mean, some of that stuff is true, and I'm like, when you show me Bigfoot, then I will believe you.
Yeah, that's the thing of it. And I get asked about Bigfoot quite a bit.
Because you and him are so close.
Bigfoot. However, I have very close friends and very well-entrusted colleagues that have claimed that they have had encounters with Bigfoot. And so I, as a researcher looking at things from a scientific point of view, I totally understand, people, like we're human, we're touchers, we're physical people, we're physical beings. We need empirical evidence. We need something tangible that we can, humanistically relate to. I totally get that. But,
yeah. But we have like in Boston,
I also think dealing with things paranormal and parapsychological, that it's important to maintain a healthy level of skepticism, and that means being open-minded. So I have, and I've been in this field for a very long time, and I remember years and years and years ago, I was, very cutthroat on, nope, this doesn't exist, nope, this doesn't happen, and then something comes up that I didn't think was possible, and I think if anything, I'm more of a skeptic now. I wouldn't say that I'm certainly not a non-believer, but I'm definitely more of a healthy skeptic now than I was when I started in this field, several years ago, and I find that fascinating because I think most people assume that, we just run around and we're big believers, and yep, everything's paranormal, or everything's a ghost, and that's not the way it is. But I have seen things and encountered things that I didn't think existed, and they do, and that jolts me. So I'm still continuing to be challenged, and I love that.
And you're more of the Scully than the Mulder,
I suppose.
There's a great podcast, the X-Files files, and they really break down like the ridiculousness of the X-Files sometimes, and like Mulder's always quick to go to like it's Satan worshippers, it's like the Hindu spirit of Zimbabwe who's come to America to take his revenge on people, and Scully's just like, oh my God, Mulder, there's a logical explanation for everything.
I think that's why they're a good team, though, because it's important to have people with different backgrounds and different areas of expertise and knowledge working with each other, and that's what we need more of within our academic communities, people working together and exposing different hypotheses and dissecting them.
When when we had the blizzard in 2015, now you being on the West Coast, you didn't have to experience the horrors of the New England storm that we had in 2015. We had a recorded human history record of 117 inches of snow.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, it is the largest recorded snowfall. They said in recorded history, which means dating back to the creation of the newspaper. Which is basically as far back as they say when they say recorded history. And we had a local urban legend pop up out of nowhere. It was being shown on the news by helicopters. A Yeti walking around the streets of Boston, Massachusetts.
What? When was this?
This was during the blizzard, and he was
in 2015.
Yes, and he was walking around with a shovel on his back, helping people shovel out. Boston police were interviewed saying, we were just driving down the street, making sure the streets are clear for the plows and everything, and we just happened to drive by, and we see this white creature walking down the road, waving to us, and I'm just like waving to the driver to just keep going.
Oh my God, that's really funny.
This guy got the key to the city from the mayor of Boston.
Oh my gosh.
For being such a good humanitarian during one of the worst storms New England has ever experienced. The worst storm probably since 1977. He was revealed to be John Capiano of WGBH. He revealed himself to me after I had retweeted him several times on Twitter that day because we were all trapped inside basically. And I started like heavily retweeting him, and he sent me a message. Hey Chris, I really appreciate you retweeting the Boston Yeti. I wanted to let you know it's me, but please keep it under wraps and don't tell anybody. But you've been such a good friend, and we enjoyed coming on your show a couple of years ago, and you've been retweeting about the Boston Yeti heavily, that I wanted to reveal my identity to you.
Oh, funny. And now everybody knows because you told everybody.
Well, no, but he came out like last year.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he came out. Well, I actually was kind of jealous. I was like, whoa. You didn't come out on my show. You didn't come on to my show to reveal your identity.
Yeah, good point.
That's
funny.
I just sent you a tweet so you guys can get real acquainted.
That's so funny. And
there's a picture, by the way,
that major snowstorm you had.
There's a picture of him, by the way, sitting at the mayor's desk in the Yeti costume, wearing a suit with the shovel in one hand and like the phone in the other, with his feet propped up on the mayor's desk.
That is hilarious.
He's got the key of the city around his neck too.
I wonder why nobody in Portland thought of that. That would have been awesome to have seen a Yeti walking around our streets, because we had nothing like what you had in 2017, but we recently had several consecutive snowstorms, and Portland never sees snow. So,
oh, yeah.
Like the city of Portland literally shut down, and everybody literally thought it was a zombie apocalypse, and everybody was literally getting ready, for the end of the world, and everybody was literally going to die, and people were starting to riot. And I'm from Montana, so I was just driving around the city laughing at, all of the city folk that were stuck in the snowbanks because I'm awesome. But yeah, it's like, and the whole thing, keeping Portland weird. It is so true. There are so many weirdos here. I love it. I fit in so well. But I never saw a Yeti during our snowstorms, though. So I'm a little disappointed in Portland right now. Well,
we need to get you a West Coast Yeti.
Seriously, it's just gonna be me. Oh, there goes Katie again.
We'll get you a Yeti costume, but we'll give you like we'll give you like a pink hat maybe, or bra and panties or something, and you'll be like, look, it's the female Yeti.
Oh my God, that's appropriate.
She's fully clothed.
That is true.
I'm so been surprised there aren't more Yetis popping, like people imitating it, but I'm glad John's got to keep his own little thing.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Where can people find out more information about you, Katie?
I am all over. I'm actually working on my personal website finally. That'll be up and running soon, and I'll post that all over online when it is up and running. In the meantime, I think the best way to connect with me is through my Twitter. So my handle is @KMontanaJordan. I'm on Twitter constantly, and then my main bio, my About Me bio is you can access that through my Twitter, and then my email. People feel free to email me and talk or ask me questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. My email is katiemontanajordan@gmail.com.
Oh, I had a question about your Twitter. Do you believe Elvis to still be alive?
I get asked that a lot, and it breaks my heart a little bit every time because I want to believe that he's alive, but no, I don't think he is.
What's funny is that it's funny that you came on the show and you have this Elvis picture on your Twitter because
I love Elvis. I'm a little bit of an Elvis freak.
I was just at the theater going to see Get Out, and they showed the preview for the upcoming Tupac movie.
Ooh.
He's another famous musician that everyone says is was still alive. At this point, I don't know if Tupac would still be alive. No, Tupac would still be alive. If Tupac was still alive, he had not been killed, he would still be alive today. Elvis, though, I think Elvis would have probably almost be dead by now.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Elvis has been dead. I think he died when they said he died on August, 16th, 1977, something like that. But yeah.
Oh my God, August.
The mystery is where his body is buried, so nobody knows where he is. So.
But that's going to be that's huge this year because this is 2017 and Elvis died in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the 40th anniversary of the death of Elvis Presley.
I guess so. I didn't go to school for math. Although I know, and we just had it was just, I'm also a huge Johnny Cash fan. It was just Johnny Cash's birthday on the 26th of February. And then today is actually the death day, the death anniversary of Patsy Cline. And then April 6th is National Merle Haggard Day. So that's April 6th is his 80th birthday, as well as the first year anniversary of his death. He died on his birthday. So.
And you have, you had, I remember when I called you, you had Johnny Cash on your phone.
I probably did, yeah. I usually always have, like, anybody that gets to call me gets to listen to Johnny Cash or Elvis, so.
I went to go see the new Wolverine movie, Logan, and they have Johnny Cash playing during the end credits.
Oh, cool. I was just talking to a buddy about that the other night. He went and saw Logan. He said it was amazing. And where you're asking how people can get a hold of me or learn more about me, I'm also going to be at a major event that we're holding here in the Pacific Northwest at the end of this month. I'm going to be at our 6th annual Oregon Ghost Conference. It's going to be from March 31st to April 2nd, and it's a really big deal. It's one of the two major Pacific Northwest events that we hold here within our paranormal community, and this one is going to be along the ocean. It's in Seaside, and I'm going to be giving a lecture on theoretical demonology and paranormal research, and I'm really excited about it because from what I understand, this is going to be the first ever lecture on demonology at this particular conference, and the conference has been running for 6 years, so I feel honored to be able to publicly talk about demonology. And then I'm also holding a class. I always teach a class on the Ouija board. It's called The Misconceptions and Applications of the Ouija Board. It's a 2-hour class. The first hour is a lecture and a live demonstration, and then the second hour is hands-on application, and I'm super excited.
Wow, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so anybody that wants to learn more about that, and again, I know that you guys are on the East Coast, but for any of your listeners that might be in my area, or they just want to look into it, and then maybe, go ahead and book tickets and get ready to come see us next year for the 7th Annual Oregon Ghost Conference, you can look up information about that at www.oregonghostconference.com.
Awesome. Will do. And Katie, thank you again for coming on the show. Again, check out all of Katie's links and follow her on Twitter as well. And you can look for more of Katie Montana Jordan coming up soon on the Supernatural Creatures and Lore podcast in the month of April and the subsequent months ahead as well. Details to soon follow about that. But Katie will be giving Supernatural Creatures and Lore hosts Dr. Chris, myself, and Kat some insightful information on the mythology, cryptozoology, religion, history, kooky, spooky weirdness of the monsters that we will be covering from week to week, bi-weekly on that podcast.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me and letting me come on and chat about myself and my work a little bit. It's always nice to connect with new people. And I also have a podcast that's based out of Philly. It's called the What Are You Afraid Of podcast. So for anybody that's listening there in the East Coast, maybe you guys want to check that out too.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Will do, Katie. Please send us a tweet with the information as well, and we'll stick it in the description box of this video when it goes up on this interview, when it goes up on VidMe and YouTube soon.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.